Grand rising, everybody. Wow. Wonderful to see some smiley faces and lots of faces, and just wonderful to be here. As always, it's my happy place. So I was trying to think, we're looking at divine discomfort. Where comfort ends, transformation begins. So really what we're talking about today is the comfort zone. Oh, the comfort zone. And I was trying to think of, some examples from my life. The thing with the comfort zone, it feels good. And the thing that's on the other side of it, we don't know what that feels like yet. And that can be terrifying for human beings. And so the first thing I wanted to talk about was a story from my past that demonstrates the thing that when we're looking to get out of our comfort zone, we're looking, something's calling within us. Whether we want to try something new, learn something, create something, all these different things, the thing that keeps us from doing that is that fear of the unknown. And so I thought of an example from my life where I thought it was kind of funny, because one time where I made that intention and move to get out of my comfort zone, I had a set of fears, things that I was worried that could go wrong. And of course, it's never the things that we think it's going to be. The things that go wrong were the things that we never would have thought about. And they kind of sneak up on us. So how this goes, a lot of you that have been coming around here for a while, you know a lot of my backstory. I spent many years in the restaurant industry. And at one point, when a whole bunch of transition was going on in her life. My daughter was less than a year old. My wife had decided that she was going to go on in her education, and the timing was right. I was working in a great restaurant. I had been there for 5 years. I was very comfortable. I knew what I was doing, and I was pretty good at it there. But then all of a sudden, that was working mornings and lunch, which worked well because, that schedule sometimes for servers doesn't line up with a partner that's not in the industry. So this was working good, but all of a sudden now, it was like, now my wife was asking me, you need to go back to working nights, because now I'm going to be, schooling during the days, and you got to be with the baby. And so I was like, oh. So I could have stayed where I was at. It was a good restaurant, wonderful people that I worked for. But I wanted to try something new. And that's when I made that decision that I wanted to try fine dining. And so that's what I put my intention towards. And I started looking. And I found a place that took me in without fine dining experience. And I had, some of the fears were I'm going to have to learn a lot about wine. I'm going to have to learn the formalities of service. Do I set the food down on the left side or the right? All these things I got to now start worrying about. Start wearing a tie while I work. This is crazy. These are the things I worried about. But oddly enough, what got me was the fundamentals, things that I had done for well over 15 years. And it starts with, maybe this should have been a red flag to them. At the final interview that I had before I started, when the manager that I was meeting with offered me the job, we get up, I go to shake his hand, and I knock a glass of water off the table. It spills all over his pants, it shatters. And that was, when I'm just getting ready to say goodbye. I haven't even started, and I'm already breaking stuff. Not a good sign. And it was, oddly enough, it was like an omen. Because, when I started, I'm on my first day, I walk in, we're doing lineup, which is a new thing to me. I had never done lineup before in any of the other jobs. We're going through all the things you need to know for the night. And they're like, now here's the thing. We're running incredibly low on B&B plates. Our bread and butter plates, we use them from appetizers, all kinds of things. Our supplier can't get them for at least a month. So we got to be really careful not to break any more of those. So in order to do that, we're going to have a breakage contest. They made a big chart in the back of the kitchen. Everybody's name up there, big so you can see it. Whoever goes the longest without breaking a plate, you get a $250 gift certificate for Shanahan's. You might be familiar with it. In Denver, it's a nice steakhouse up the street from where I was working. And you win this. And in my mind, I was pretty experienced, and I was pretty good at not breaking stuff. And so I'm like, I got a shot. I can do this. We hadn't even opened the restaurant that day, and we're setting up, bringing out the plates, getting all stations ready to go. I drop one of the B&B plates. Now, everybody at this point, we got a contest going on, so people that are like, I want that gift certificate, everybody needs to come running to see who broke something. Normally in a restaurant, something breaks, the servers don't even bat an eye. It's just like, man, it happens all the time. No, this was, everybody had to come see, it's the new guy, it's Chris. Well, you're out. Like, yeah. And I'm not kidding. This was like the freakish thing. My wife thought I was messing with her when I was telling her the story at the end of my shift. I broke another couple things that night. I came in on my next shift. I broke another couple things. I had one time where I'm coming in from the patio and I'm carrying, cleared off appetizers. So I'm carrying a stack of the B&B plates that we're running low on. And right by this table, it's a 6-top. So they're in there. They're looking to spend $500 tonight. I dropped like 4 of them on a concrete floor right next to them. So that, it startles the heck out of them. Everybody comes running. Who's breaking plates? Chris. Dude, like, you're not even waiting tables yet. You're like shadowing people. You're still training. What? And I mean, the chef was, he was a famous chef. He had national write-ups. My manager was like, dude, you're going to get fired. And I'm like, I know. And I was like super nervous. Like, I really thought that there's a good chance, like tonight's the night, they're going to say, we can't have you here. They didn't know me. It was like so comical because it was so out of nature for me. Like, my wife couldn't believe it. I was pretty good at not breaking stuff. That's generally one of the requirements for working in the restaurant and bar industry. But somehow I was managed to stick around. But here's the thing. So I stepped out of my comfort zone. The things that I would have never expected to be the problem ended up being the problem. But in the big picture, even if he had let me go, I had tried something new. And then I would have had, the choice. Do I want to still try to pursue fine dining, or do I want to just go ahead and take that comfort route back? These are choices I could have made. And I'm not to say, which is right, which is wrong. It's, it's all individual, and we all do our own path. But it was just a moment that, I was learning new things, and I settled in, and it worked out okay. But that's getting out of that comfort zone, and even when there's the fears and the concerns, things work out. Wherever we all are here, I know everybody has had a moment where they were either by choice or by force pushed out of a comfort zone. Everybody, if we lived long enough, we have, like, that was an example of intentionally stepping out of the comfort zone. Sometimes, though, in life, even if you try your best to never intentionally step out of it, you can't avoid it. If you live long enough, at some point, the 5 major stressors that they talk about, at some point, something is going to happen to you and you're not going to have a choice. We lose a loved one. We might unexpectedly lose a job. Might get separated from a significant other after many years. These things happen, and we are forced out of the comfort zone. And if we get through these things, we grow. That's how we transform. That's how we move into a greater expanded version of ourselves. Now, of course, I love Brené Brown. You can choose courage or you can choose comfort. You cannot have both. It's hard to step out of your comfort zone, that fear of the unknown. I love the Tina Turner story. I was going to read it if Malika hadn't read it, because it's empowering. Sometimes the word comfort zone, like comfort, can be misleading because what we might refer to as the comfort zone might not be comfortable at all. So sometimes, people can be in a bad situation, a toxic, work relationship, an abusive home relationship. And that pain that is more comfortable than that fear of the unknown. Tina Turner stayed with Ike for 16 years. I don't know how long the abuse was there, but my guess is, pretty close to the whole time. And it takes incredible courage to step out of our comfort zone. It takes incredible courage to step out of even a toxic place that we know. But every time we do, this is the kicker and the bonus. Every time that, whether it's thrust upon us, falls in our lap, and it causes us to step out of our comfort zone, we learn skills, whether we are aware of it or not. That's what comes described as wisdom. The longer you live, the more times that you are forced out of your comfort zone, every time you do, you learn a tool. This is how we build resiliency. And so then the next time in life when something is thrown at us or dropped and maybe broken, we learn more tools that help us get through the next one. And so the really cool thing that I love, about this philosophy, science of mind and spirit, we learn that by being intentional, I got this thing like right under my nose, I can hear my breathing in it. That when we are intentional and we change the way we look at things, I love the song, I always love the songs that the Big Love Band plays, the things that we look at change. By changing our intention, by changing our perception, things change. And so Centers for Spiritual Living for me has given me the tools to know how to intentionally step out of my comfort zone, to see the rewards that are on the other side. As I look back over the last 10 years, there's been a couple somewhat significant challenges in my life. And I've had other people come to me here too and say, thank you for these teachings that I'm learning how to get through the hard times in my life that I didn't know before. We are building resiliency. And so the gift and the opportunity, when we intentionally choose to step out of our comfort zone, we are learning those skills. And the more times that we do that, then when those times that force us out of the comfort zone, believe it or not, we're better able to deal with it. We have been learned and adjusted to this. There's a great example. The Marine Corps, they teach mindfulness meditation now. For a while, when they first started looking into it, they were using it in cases of PTSD, trying to help people who have come back from battle and had PTSD, and they were suffering. And it would help some, and others it wouldn't. And they didn't necessarily know why, but what somebody had the wherewithal that said, well, what if we start teaching all that before we send them off to battle? And what the studies are showing is that when that happens, they're less likely to come back with the PTSD. They're learning resilience in advance. It's not a cure-all, but it's hope and improvement. And that's where we have the chance and choice in our life to ask where in our lives, here's the thing, every single one of you, every single one of us, we have so much within us that we are great beyond our wildest imaginations. We can imagine things in our mind, there's no limit. And I'm confident in saying, I bet every single person here has at least one thing in your heart and in your mind that you say, I would like to do. I would like to experience. There's something. And I'm also guessing that there's all the reasons, the what ifs, that keep us kind of in that same space of just saying, someday I'll do that. The really cool thing about Tina Turner, and I have to share her picture here, so she was part of our Black History Month storytelling from Reverend Sonia, who wrote the theme. There's Tina. I like that picture because she's full of joy here. But what's really cool about her, when she got out, and, like the story said, it took her a while to get on her feet, and she had struggles, and the fears that she had about, what happens if I leave? What's going to happen out there? For a while, they were showing up in real life situations. It was a struggle. It was hard to get recognized on her own. She didn't, she had financial struggles for a while, lots of hurdles. There was resistance, but she stuck at it. And the thing that she then went on to do is she became an advocate and a voice to help other people get out of domestic violence situations. which is really cool. So, we are, all of us, we have that thing within us that wants more or wants to experience something different. Comfort is good. We live in a place of good, but it's the thing that keeps us from great. And that's where this whole year, Grand Rising, this is our time to step into something larger individually and to also start asking on a collective, how can we have a greater vision for our collective? What do we want to see? And these moments that we choose to step out of our comfort zone, this is where we intentionally grow, learn new tools, share with one another, and like Tina Turner, we show others what is possible. Now, she essentially was the exception. More people stay in situations than get out. But the ones that do, there was nothing in her that's not in every single one of us. And when we make an intention and step forward, things show up. I made that intention to get into fine dining, and I had a pretty good chance at blowing it. And that would have been okay because I tried. But it's just those little things. So Ernest Holmes often talks about the constant upward spiral that we're on. Life is everything that we do contributes to growth and expansion. Even if we're intentionally trying not to grow and expand, we're still absorbing experiences, and there's no other way around it. You are wiser just by experiencing another 1 minute. You have seen or observed something you didn't. So it's impossible to not expand and grow. Of course, we can choose harmful habits and harmful things that we expand and grow in ways that maybe cause more pain in our lives. But that's our free will. It's a choice we have. But regardless, we are always expanding. And so this is from what he wrote. He wrote, I believe. We switched it to us, and we say, we believe in the eternality, the immortality, and the continuity of the individual soul forever and ever expanding. So Centers for Spiritual Living give us the tools to intentionally direct that expansion, to choose where we want to step outside of our comfort zone. Like Ralph's song was talking about, I can do a workshop and I'll learn some tools, but until I actually walk it. So we take classes, we come here, we do workshops, and we learn tools, but if we really take them to heart and put the practices in place, we see heaven be created in our experience. And it's a pretty beautiful thing. So forever and ever expanding is what we are. So then here's the spiritual practice that I want to recommend. If you're willing to take this on, this is kind of a big one. Ash Wednesday is this Wednesday, which for me, it's also the day that I get to go and have my injury repaired or begin to be repaired. That's when the surgery will happen. The next 40 days will be a nice healing. It's all divine timing for me here. So this is a tradition that I like, that I bring with me from, I was raised Catholic, and my family, we would practice Lent, and you'd have to choose something that you really liked and sacrifice it for the period of Lent. And so, as a kid, it would be like, I'm going to do candy or something like that. Well, a few years ago, I hadn't done Lent for a long time. And a few years back, I was like, I'm going to do Lent this time because 40 days, there's spiritual symbolism here. It's an opportunity to develop something deeper. And I used to do a social media and news fast for 40 days. I'm going to stay away from it. If I need to know something, people will tell me. And it was empowering. But whatever it is, I know some of the comforts that we have can be things that can feel good, but they can actually be causing us harm. And, I want to think about, back when I imbibed, I'd come home from a hard day's work. You know what? I earned a couple drinks. I want to have a couple drinks today. Or come home from a bad day at work and be like, whew, I earned a lot of drinks today. That was my comfort. But it can be, lots of things. Like, I think today I'm going to buy myself something nice. And even though I don't have the money. Or I'm going to treat myself and I'm just going to say, I don't care how I eat today. Whatever it is. And they feel like comfort. But then when we wake up the next day, we're like, I made a poor choice. I shouldn't have binge-watched The Sopranos till 4 a.m. And now I got to get up and go to work, and I'm tired. So what I want to encourage us to do is think about our comforts and think about it yourself. What is something that you want to move towards, and what is a comfort right now that you are indulging in that you think maybe isn't bringing as much benefit as it is not? And if you're up for it, it's a big one. I'm going to do this. Start on Wednesday. Let something go. And the key to kind of letting an old habit go is to say and have a plan in place, what am I going to replace it with? So back in 2008, when I decided to give up smoking, I had my plan. Like every time I want a cigarette, I'm going to make myself get up and clean something or do 5 minutes of exercise, 5 minutes of cleaning, and if I still want the cigarette at the end of that 5 minutes, I can have it. I never wanted it. I would get up and I wouldn't even think about it because it would take my mind off of it. And so the replacing with something that moves you in the direction that you want to go. So for me, for this, I'm going back this Lent to, really, I mentioned it a couple weeks ago, back to a mostly fast from social media and the news. And I want to stay informed, so my plan for that is I'll get 10 or 15 minutes max, but I'll only look at about the top 6 stories in the news feed. If there's something important enough for me to know, it'll be there. And if there's nothing that I want to read, then I'll be done in a minute. If there's something in those top 6 that I feel like I need to learn, I'll do it. Social media, if there's something that I'm tagged in or something that I need to see that's work-related, I will go look at it, 15 minutes max. And instead of all those times during the day where I'd be normally tempted to I'm just going to check in with the news feed real quick, see what's happening in the world. Nothing that I have anything to do with. Why do I keep looking at it? And it's, frittering away my life. There goes 10 minutes where instead I'm going to take the giant stack of books that just keeps getting bigger, that I'm going to read these, and that, people are like, you got to read this. Like, great. That's what my plan is in place. I'm going to have that book with me. And so for the 40 days, instead of that other time, that's my plan. So I encourage you, if you want to try a spiritual practice, some sort of a fast away from one of those things that you feel like you would be doing better without. Leave it up to you. I'll let you know how it goes. I'm not going to see you for a couple weeks, so we'll see. And then, so here's an affirmation that I want to encourage us all to share right now. I'll read it once, and then we'll read it together. It says, I am a powerful being, and I break free from my comfort zone now. It's already done. So let's all say this together. I am a powerful being, and I break free from my comfort zone now. Transformations on that other side. So, just to recap it, don't worry about the what-ifs, because the what-ifs you're thinking about probably aren't going to be the ones that come up, and whatever ones do, you'll deal with it when they come. Second, don't overstay in your comfort zone, especially not when your comfort zone is causing you harm. Have faith that when we step outside of it, somehow we get through it because we're here. And if we don't, then we go on to the next thing anyway. So don't overstay in that comfort zone. And practice stepping out. Every time you can do something different that you feel an inspiration for. Just the first time you showed up here, you did something that you hadn't done before. That's the kind of things, when you have an inspiration, step out and practice. And then just repeat those and live fully. That's the opportunities that is available to us, especially in this month. So with that being said, I'm going to take it within and just kind of anchor this knowing that each individual here, there's one infinite divine presence. It is just the life force. Whatever you want to call it, it is in, through, around, and as everything. There is no avoiding it. We are it. So seeking is a misnomer. Becoming aware is what we are really doing. So there's just that one thing, and each and every one of us are that. And deep within, we hold unimaginable strength and power when we choose to embrace it and invite it into our experience. So I state these words in that one infinite mind that is all consciousness, that we all share together, that everyone right where they are, We have those desires and dreams within us for a reason. And life is meant to be lived, not to be playing it safe and staying in those comfort zones. So I affirm and avow that for everyone that's deciding to step out of that space, that there is a nudge that happens within, a reassurance that when we jump, that safety net will appear, knowing that we follow the impulse that is within us. We can tell when it's that higher calling that is leading us into greater expansion and growth, greater freedom, and showing the way for others, and affirming that it is always there with us. Life is meant to be lived. Instead of living the good life, you get to embrace the great life. So I just offer thanks for each and every person that is sharing in this idea with me, who is holding consciousness into the fact and the feeling that we are infinite beings. I give gratitude and appreciation for everyone who hears these words, who is on this journey with us together, knowing that we are creating conscious community of upliftment, of support, and presence right here and right now. So in gratitude for it all, gratitude for the co-creative nature of which we are all partaking, for free will that lets us partake in the ways that we feel called, and for the safety net that always has us. Somehow, some way, we always get through. I say thank you for it all, and I just affirm and avow that I choose greater life expansion right now, and I am supported in that. So I release these words knowing it's already done in that mind of God, and we can anchor it in for each of us just by saying, and so it is, and so it is. Thank you. Thank you.